Love after 60. A man will never value you until you realize this. 90% women learn it too late. Ladies, when an older man stops valuing you, your mind immediately starts trying to explain it away. He's just stressed at work. He's afraid of commitment. Or the classic, he's avoidant. Because you've watched 20 videos on attachment styles, and now you're basically his therapist. But in almost every case, he's not making you a priority because you simply aren't one to him right now. And sometimes, it's not even about him or you, it's about the dynamic between you that's gone off balance. The shift doesn't come from chasing or convincing. It begins when you change the energy you bring into the connection. When you show up with calm, clarity, and the quiet strength that reminds him who you are. After 60, that's where real power lies, not in demanding his attention, but in embodying the kind of presence he can't ignore. Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Vernon again. Today, we're breaking down why a man stops valuing you, and more importantly, how you can turn that around. And if you're tired of mixed signals, the confusion, the emotional guessing games, this is for you. But before we dive in, if you're ready to learn more about male psychology, authentic attraction, and how to make him fear losing you, not through games, but through self-respect, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I'm building a community of high-value women after 60 who choose wisdom over worry. Let's start with the hardest truth, the dark side of being nice. 1. The dark side of being nice. Here's what no one tells you in all that relationship advice. Niceness is often a disguise for fear and self-abandonment. I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. For most of our lives, women have been conditioned to equate pleasing with love. We were taught that kindness means saying yes when we mean no. That being understanding means swallowing disrespect. That being supportive means hiding our own brilliance so someone else feels comfortable. When niceness costs you your self-respect, it's no longer kindness, it becomes compliance. And compliance isn't connection. It's emotional anxiety dressed up as empathy. Think about it. Every time you laugh off a dismissive comment, every time you pretend you're fine when you're not, every time you shrink yourself to fit someone else's insecurity, you're not being loving, you're being afraid. Afraid of rejection, afraid of conflict, afraid of being misunderstood or abandoned. And men especially, the high-value man you want to attract, feel that fear. They sense when a woman is performing niceness rather than living in her truth. And here's the brutal reality. A man will never value you if you don't first value yourself. Let me break down what this looks like in real life. You're at dinner with someone you're dating, and he makes a comment that dismisses something important to you, maybe your career achievement, maybe a hobby you love, maybe a boundary you've set. And instead of speaking up, you laugh it off. You tell yourself you're being mature, that you're choosing your battles, that real love means not being sensitive. But what's really happening? You're teaching him that your feelings don't matter. You're showing him that you'll absorb disrespect to avoid discomfort. And the more you do this, the more invisible you become. Men are attracted to women who know their worth, not women who announce it loudly or demand special treatment, but women who quietly, consistently honor their own boundaries. When you constantly accommodate, when you're always the one adjusting, compromising, understanding, you're not creating intimacy, you're creating imbalance. And imbalance doesn't breed respect, it breeds contempt. This is the dating advice for women that changes everything. Real love comes from alignment, not accommodation. When you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own truth, you become a supporting character in your own life. And no high-value man, No man worth having can value what continually devalues itself. The woman who is too nice becomes the woman who is too easy to take for granted. It's not about being difficult or withholding. It's about being honest. It's about saying, I care about you, but I care about myself too. And if I have to choose between your comfort and my integrity, I choose me. That's not selfishness. That's self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of authentic attraction. In the words of the writer Anais Nin, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. But niceness isn't the only illusion. Many women also misunderstand what real confidence looks like. 2. Rethinking confidence. When you hear confidence, what do you picture? If you're like most women, consuming dating tips for women online, you probably imagine someone bold, assertive, maybe even a little intimidating. Someone who commands a room. Someone who never doubts. But here's what I've learned after 60. Real confidence isn't loud. It's peaceful self-trust. Social media has sold us a version of confidence that's actually dominance. Big energy, constant control, always on. But true confidence? It's quiet. It's being at peace in your own space, even when you're unseen, even when no one's applauding. The word confidence comes from the Latin confidere, which means to trust. It's not the absence of doubt. It's the refusal to betray yourself just to belong. Let me tell you about my cousin Orla. She's 67 now, and for most of her life, she was what people called the nice one. Always agreeable, always helpful. She believed that if she just gave enough, loved enough, accommodated enough, she'd finally be chosen. But after her second divorce, something shifted. She stopped asking, "How do I make him stay?" and started asking, "Who am I?" When no one's watching, she took up painting something she'd loved as a girl, but abandoned because her ex-husband thought it was a waste of time. She started saying no to family obligations that drained her. She stopped checking her phone every 5 minutes, hoping for validation from men on dating apps. And you know what happened? She became magnetic. Not because she changed her appearance or played games with male psychology, but because she stopped seeking approval and started living in self-fidelity. She stopped performing confidence and started trusting herself. This is the relationship advice for women that actually works. Confidence isn't about convincing someone you're valuable. It's about knowing it so deeply that you stop auditioning for love. The poet Rumi wrote, "Yesterday, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself." When you shift from approval-seeking to self-fidelity, everything changes. You stop worrying about how to make him worry about losing you, because you're no longer afraid of being alone. And ironically, that's when the right people start paying attention. If this resonates with you, do me a favor. Share this video with your friends, your book club, your community groups, not just for the women who need to hear it, but for the men who need to understand what real feminine energy mindset looks like. And when a woman learns to trust herself, something beautiful happens. She stops performing and starts connecting. 3. The art of genuine interest. Here's a paradox I see all the time in relationship coaching. Women lose connection not because they don't care, but because they over-control. Let me explain. When you're dating after 60, especially if you've been hurt before, it's natural to want to protect yourself. So you analyze every text message. You scan for red flags. You interpret every silence, every mood shift, every small inconsistency. You're trying to predict the outcome so you won't be blindsided again. But here's the psychology behind what's really happening. Control is protection, but curiosity is connection. Think about it this way. You can't hug someone with closed arms. When your energy shifts from openness to defense, when you're managing the interaction instead of experiencing it, you're no longer present. You're rehearsing. You're preparing for disappointment. You're building walls before anyone's even knocked. And men, especially, emotionally available men, the kind of high-value man you actually want, they feel that distance. They sense when you're not really there, when you're performing interest rather than genuinely feeling it. I have a friend, Lynn, 65, who started dating again after being widowed. She's smart, warm, generous, but every date felt the same. Polite, surface level. She'd come home and say he seemed nice, but there was no spark. One day I asked her, "Lynn, when was the last time you asked a man a question you didn't already script the answer to?" She paused, and then she laughed because she realized she'd been so busy screening for compatibility that she'd forgotten to be curious. She wasn't learning about these men. She was cross-examining them. So she tried something different. On her next date, instead of mentally checking boxes, she asked questions she genuinely wanted to know the answers to. What's something you believed at 30 that you don't believe anymore? What's the hardest lesson your parents taught you without meaning to? And something shifted. The conversation deepened. She stopped worrying about whether he was right and started enjoying the discovery. And you know what? He asked for a second date and a third. Not because she played games with dating advice, but because she was finally present. When you lead with curiosity, you stop trying to be chosen and start doing the choosing. Real attraction thrives on wonder, not worry. It thrives on self-worth in relationships, not self-protection. As the philosopher Simone Weil once said, attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. When you give someone your genuine attention, not your fear, not your suspicion, but your real curiosity, you create space for authentic attraction. When was the last time you let yourself be genuinely curious about someone, without analyzing whether they were good enough for you? Share your thoughts in the comments. But even curiosity needs one more ingredient, something that keeps you grounded when love tests your patience. 4. Emotional discipline, the new form of feminine strength after 60. The most magnetic women aren't the loudest, they're the most emotionally steady. Emotional discipline doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It doesn't mean pretending you're fine when you're not, or swallowing your truth to keep the peace. That's the old niceness trap we talked about earlier. Emotional discipline means feeling everything without letting it control your worth. It's self-respect in motion. It's the ability to feel hurt without becoming bitter, to feel disappointed without becoming desperate, to feel love without losing yourself in it. This is the dating expert advice that actually changes lives. The mature feminine isn't fragile or fiery. She's composed, discerning, and deeply alive. Her peace is her boundary, and her silence speaks louder than pleading ever could. When a man pulls back or becomes distant, the woman without discipline panics. She starts overcompensating, sending longer texts, asking, "Is everything okay?" repeatedly, trying to fix problems that haven't even been named. She's essentially punishing herself for his withdrawal. But the woman with emotional discipline, she notices the shift. She acknowledges it, but she doesn't make his distance mean something about her worth. She doesn't chase clarity at the expense of her dignity. Instead, she creates space, not as a strategy, but as an act of self-respect. She knows that real love doesn't require constant reassurance, constant pursuit, constant proof. Real love exists in the calm between the storms, not in the anxiety of trying to prevent them. This is what male psychology responds to, not games, not manipulation, but genuine self-possession. When you can love someone without needing to control their every move, when you can care deeply without becoming desperate, when you can feel the full weight of disappointment without letting it define you, that's when you become truly magnetic. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to lose because you've cultivated a life, a peace, a sense of self that doesn't crumble the moment someone steps back. Think about the difference in energy. Anxiety is loud, frantic, consuming. It broadcasts, "I need you to validate me right now." But emotional discipline is quiet, steady, grounded. It communicates, "I value what we have, but I don't need it to survive. I'm whole either way." And that wholeness, that's what creates authentic attraction in relationships. Not the performance of independence, but the reality of it. The key is learning to separate your feelings from your worth. You can feel sad without being broken. You can feel uncertain without being unworthy. You can feel love without surrendering your center. This is what it means to be a high-value woman after 60, not because you've mastered the art of detachment, but because you've mastered the art of loving yourself through every emotion without needing someone else to rescue you from your own heart. The writer Bell Hooks said it perfectly. Rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation. Healing is an act of communion, but communion requires presence, and presence requires peace, and peace requires discipline. Save this video so you can come back to it whenever you feel yourself slipping back into old patterns. Bookmark it, revisit it, let it remind you of the woman you're becoming. If you've made it this far, you've just redefined what feminine strength looks like after 60. Not through effort, but through return. You've learned that being too nice isn't love, it's fear. That real confidence isn't loud, it's self-trust. That connection doesn't come from control, but from curiosity. And that emotional discipline isn't coldness, it's the deepest form of self-respect. This is the relationship advice that transforms everything. When you stop performing and start aligning, love stops being something you chase. It becomes something that finds you. Because peaceful strength is the new allure. Not the woman who's always accommodating, not the woman who's always anxious, but the woman who knows her worth, trusts her instincts, and loves from a place of fullness, not lack. Maya Angelou once said, "You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody." Which version of yourself are you still pretending to be to keep someone comfortable? Drop your story in the comments. Your honesty might be the permission another woman needs to finally choose herself. And if this message resonated with you, if you felt seen, understood, or challenged in the best way, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I've got so many more conversations about emotional maturity after 60, dating after loss, and how to build relationships rooted in respect, not rescue. Check out the other videos on this channel. You'll find stories, strategies, and the kind of wisdom that only comes from living long enough to know the difference between love and performance. And I'm Vernon. Thank you for watching till now, and see you in the next video.